Always just a really nice guy, you know.
Yep.
And I knew him before everybody found about him, and that's why I said that. He used to come down here long before he became so well known.
So did Mr. Sellers know Burlon before he?
No,
even though they were both from Vale.
He actually was up. His dad was from actually Lloyd had a place there near Vale that it belonged to his mom and dad.
Right.
So he would go up for the sales. See, even when we started seeing a lot of Burlon's pieces coming in down here, there was a group of salespeople.
Right.
That they started out as scammers pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get into names here, but those people know who I'm talking about. And they were going up there, and it's like Lanier. When I first got go seeing Lanier Meaders, I was getting his face jug for $5. Okay, same. And they were going up there and buying from Burlon.
Right.
And coming back and selling because he didn't stamp anything. And now Roddy Klein was the guy that got Burlon his first stamp. And it was a stamp that went on the outside of the churn said B.D. Craig. Nothing more,
Right.
No city or anything like that. Because these guys were coming, they were going up there again for about the same price and bringing these 5-gallon churns, which Burlon's churns are beautiful. I mean, you look at the clay and everything there. It's like looking at these guys were so good. Meaders, Lanier was the same. I always wanted.
Is Lanier Meaders from Vale as well, up that way as well?
White County, Georgia.
Georgia. I thought you remember telling me that he was from Georgia.
And that, but they were both just very nice, genuine people.
Right.
And I remember the first time I went up to White County, Georgia to meet Lanier. And my professor in college, Joan Bird, she was one that had written extensively on the Meaders family, not only him, but particularly his mother.
Right.
Because it's funny, she had spent her life with a husband who had continued this family tradition of making pottery. And she had never, if you're a wife of a potter, you do a lot of things, but you don't necessarily learn to work on the wheel.
Right.
And Miss Airy didn't until he decided Cheever decided to retire. And when you get brothers' names like Cleater and Cheater, and
that could do it.
And my tongue is the way it is anyway. But Cheever decided he was going to retire. Well, that was,
How does this sound kind of like the Teague family, just a little bit? Because isn't that what happened?
Well,
she started. Archie stopped, and she started, and then she got to be as good as Archie.
No, actually, now look, Yvonne. They both had worked down at Coles.
Oh, okay.
And I've got pieces. Yvonne gets somehow left a lot of times until this last. But I've got pieces that she made back when they had the shop over on Mack Road. And so thin. I mean, her work was just so thin and beautiful. And she came, when Archie came working for me here, she wanted to start making pots too, so we took her clay, and I've got even a piece, one that was salted of hers. One of the first pieces she made down here, and it's so cool. It was fired, I had 2 gas kilns here, still got one, but we fired some salt, I always did, in the small gas kiln, and one of the first pieces she made went in there, and the inside of it has a albany slip, which turned to frog skin.
Right.
And then you have the gray salt glaze. That's a pretty piece. But I've got pieces they made over in Mac Road. Her stuff was so thin. And she sort of gets, she didn't get maybe all the credit because she was good. And such a delightful lady. I was fortunate to know so many of these just great, great people. And the Teagues have always been, special folks. I wish Miss Oman could have said. She always told me, and it was this really far away look back, and she'd say about Archie, she said, he's going to turn pottery again. I'd shake my head. And, he was doing his time in the fire department. He would become a fire inspector. From
right.
the front to, and she didn't get to see it.
Oh.
She died the year that he started down here. But she knew it was going to happen.
Gotcha.
And she told me that all those years. And when he came down here that day, and that was so grouchy. I had gotten pissed off.
Not you.
We had it, yeah. Well, it was a technical piss off though. And I was grinding. We had a really good looking glaze kiln out there.
Right.
But the thing about it, a lot of the glazes ruined, so I was grinding stuff, and I didn't hear Archie come in, and I'm grinding, and that's when he said he's getting ready to retire, and he'd like to get back into the pottery, and I said, okay. And that's when, he made the first 15 pieces that day, and I've got one of them still down here. And that's how we got back in.
So what happened with you were grinding, what?
The grinding pots, the bottoms up.
Yeah, I know, but what happened that went wrong?
Oh, and it just got a little hot, and I would put a little bit too much glaze on it.
Okay, I'm like, what? I'm sitting here like, did you grind into the pot? What happened that caused this technical upsetness?
It was, today I can sit down here and do things like this. But my God, at that time, just, everything had to be fast. Well, fast is not good.
Comparatively, look, having heard the stories of those people, who were making train loads or train car loads of stuff, I can understand why fast would be. Yeah. And I don't think that is changed.
No.
Well, I shouldn't say I don't think it's. I don't think it's quite like it was, but at the same time, I do think that there are people who, if
he was just amazing.
Oh, like Logan, you're just starting out, you're making, smaller stuff, and the more the more you can make, the more you can sell.
He's ended up though making 4 and 5 pound bowls and things like that.
Well, there you go.
And,
you just work your way up.
You don't see them because they're not here. They sold.
Gotcha.
He has been just a pleasure to see what he's been able to do.
It's been, pretty amazing just from
from
what I've seen on my
end. That first day, and I'll give you the exact number because some things are etched in your head. You never forget them. I may be totally senile, but that first day, he just had a little while. He made 15 pictures. And I think they were probably 2 pound pictures, shape that he had done when he was running the H&T. And he came back and put the handles on. And then, it was so many days on and so many days off. So the next time he came, and I'd offered him, I figured I had a gold mine here. I did. $1 a pot, which was pretty high. It was more than I could afford, but that was all right too. Well, I found out how many he could make.
And you were like, no.
Yeah, I still paid him $1 a pot. But that next day when he came in, he said, I think I want to see how many I can do. And I said, go for it. Well, in that first hour, he didn't cut the wheel off, and he was making one piece a minute. I owed him $60 an hour. And you know what? There's none of them down here for sale. so something happened to it. Everyone sold them everyone.
Well, there you
So-
go.